by the 4th Caesars, Joe's offers guests an experience that is perfect for lunch. Semi-private dining.
What's up, Otani? Who's Otani? Who the hell is Otani? Never heard of him. Never heard of him.
So there's no mess.
Let's get the YouTube signed in. YouTube and X. YouTube and X. So let's view the channel. We're almost at 8,000 subs. We need like 100,000 subs. Let's go. Let's pick up the subscriptions here. Let's go. We do a better monologue than anybody in radio. Let's go.
When Barkley smells gas, he leaves fast. When Barkley hears hissing coming from a gas appliance, he leaves fast. When Barkley sees dirt or water shooting to the ground, he leaves fast. Barkley's van calls 911 and Southwest Gas.
Let me just get this out. I'm going to put this out on Facebook too.
Gas lines can be buried anywhere, so remember to call 911 and Southwest Gas.
Remy Martin is the official cognac of the JT the Brick Show. When you're celebrating any of your team's victories, celebrate with Remy Martin Cognac, XO, VSOP, and 1738.
Yes, we got Phil Villapiano right out of the gate. And then we got really good guests today. Bill Williamson, Jeff Sherman.
That would not call anytime. This 9:20 a.m. KRLV Las Vegas.
It's the JT the Brick Show.
You know, we're going to have a lot of positive energy. The guys that love to compete and play with passion are going to have a chance at the place.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Man, I'm loving it, man. They're making my job tremendously easy to be out here with these young, talented players, man. I think we have a really good team. I'm super excited. I'm already loving this fan base. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT live all over the Raider Nation at the hub of Lotus Broadcasting. Raider Nation Radio, 9:20 a.m. We're live on X. How cool is that? We're live on YouTube. JT the Brick YT. I'm even streaming today on Facebook at JT the Brick. We're trying to get this out there. Please help us subscribe and share. And we want to thank Golden Entertainment, proud partner of the show. You know, they have over 70 taverns and more. The best happy hour in town, 5 to 7, midnight to 2. They support Raider Nation. They support the Vegas Golden Knights, UNLV. It's just fantastic. I can't tell you how many lunch meetings I have at PTs. Friends come to town. I say, meet me at the SG bar by the house. Just go support them, and we appreciate them, as I always lead with Golden Entertainment, because PTs fuels the monologue as we get going. Yes, Clay, I'm a little bit insecure. I expect more people to be on my live stream, more people listening, more people calling. After 30 years of doing this, I demand a certain standard on the show, and I want to share a story with you last night. Last night, with the Dodger game on, I was on the radio last night, and please understand what I'm about to say. If you're a radio geek, you like sports radio or not, I think I'll make this pretty easy. Last night, I might have spoke more words than I ever spoke in my life in 3 hours. Clay, it was the perfect storm. And we go back to Sports Fan Radio Network together.
Yes.
Here's why. When you do a national show, the good news about being on Sirius XM is most people have Sirius XM now in their cars. It's one of the greatest inventions of all time, not because I work there, but it's satellite radio. They have a channel for Billy Joel. They have a channel for Pearl Jam. They have a channel for everything, comedy, news, and they got a great sports channel that I work on, Mad Dog Sports Radio. But they also have MLB radio and NFL radio. So I'm on the show last night, and we had the Sam Munson interview that I have in the can to play later, and I'm ready to do a show. And I get on and the Dodger game's on. And I do the monologue of the show. And I open it up. And then I realize I know people are listening, but in my mind, this is my job. You all have jobs. You know what your job is about. In my mind, I say to myself, no one's listening. Everybody's watching the game. Oh, and everybody's watching the Chiefs. Who the hell's listening to me? Now, I know there's an audience out there, but it's not peaking because the Dodger game's on. So I have no guests. It's just me. And here's the key. I don't have a co-host, which I deserve a co-host after 30 years. It's like a practical joke now. Pat McAfee's got 11 guys on the air with him. I think 11, right? Other shows have like 6. Most shows have 3. Some guys go to work every day and they got 3 co-hosts, 2 guys behind the glass, 4 interns. So I'm sitting there last night and I do the show and I go to the first break and I come out, no one on hold. But I'm okay like that because I'm a long-haul truck driver on the radio. I'm the guy that drives from Nebraska all the way to Kansas, and I'm that guy. I know how to go long, man. I know how to tread water. I'm saying, oh, boy. Okay, I got to do some play-by-play. So Ohtani comes up, hits a home run. So I'm talking about that. But how long can I talk about that? He hit a home run. Now it's someone else's up. So you can imagine the night I'm having. So I go to a break, another break, and my wife's in the other room, and she goes, how's it going? I go, not good. No bueno, man. I got 2.5 hours more to talk. And no one was coming to the rescue. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I got a little decaf cup of coffee to get me going. And then the game broke out, and it was amazing. Amazing, the game, right? 18 innings. So by the time I started the show, the game was in progress. The time I ended the show, there's no one on after me. They go to like a replay of Christopher Mad Dog Russo. I wrapped up the show. I told everybody to go to MLB Radio to listen. Then I got on my couch because after the show ends, I need a good 20 minutes to come down. And I'm sitting there with my wife and my youngest son. No chance. My heart rate's like ba-boom, 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 Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, all this. Then I go to bed, and I don't have any anxiety. I've been very lucky. I don't have anxiety, but I'm like, oh, I got to interview Pete Carroll at 11 in the morning. And I got to drive from the mean streets of Summerlin all the way to deep Henderson. I got to give myself some time. That could be traffic. Luckily, there's not. And I just finished Pete Carroll, and I raced over here, and there was a little bit of traffic, and I'm like, I got to call Clay. I might be late. So that's been like the last 12 hours for me. I think I slept. I might have slept like 4 hours or 5, if that. But last night was one of the more unique nights of my life because in all the years I've been known in my career for doing more hours. And this is non-debatable. I don't care who you think of, Colin Cowherd, Jim Rome. No one has done more hours than me in sports talk radio. I believe history because I'm a solo host. And that means I don't have co-hosts. And I do these long shows, 5 hours a day, 2 here, 3 at night. And then throughout my career, I was doing 8 hours a day. So I'm used to it. But last night was hard, Clay, because the game never ended. Because if the game ended, I would have had 9 callers on hold, proving that I didn't need the callers, but it would have been nice to have callers calling me from 10 o'clock to 11, and the game didn't even end at 11.
It's a problem because the most exciting thing in the world in sports is on, and anyone who's going to be an audience for that is watching the game.
Right.
And they can't go and react to anything just yet.
But we trick ourselves into believing they're listening. Like I'm doing noon to 2 Pacific, which is 3 to 5 Eastern right now. I know there's a good audience here, but I think a lot of people listen to me after the show. They go, we didn't have this back in the day at Sports Fan. If you didn't hear us live, you didn't hear us. You know how many people still come up to me? I used to listen to you at Boston in the middle of the night. I used to listen to you in Detroit. JT, I was a trucker in Fort Lauderdale, and I listened to you for 5 years. Now anybody can listen on demand by just going on their phone and hitting on demand, like this YouTube thing we're doing. The reason I'm doing the YouTube thing is twofold. To generate income. This is a great place to generate money for advertisers down the road. You got to build it. Like it doesn't start. You just don't go, hey, I'm starting on YouTube. Give me 30,000 subscribers. It's hard. And every day you do it, you build on it. Secondly, I do it because I want to be able to chronicle these shows for my kids and my grandkids whenever they come, decades from now. And I want to be able to go back and look at shows and say, hey, I had this interview. And yesterday, I appreciate everybody who watched the George Atkinson, Carol Davis monologue, because I got a phone call from a current GM who saw it, a current GM in the NFL. I got a call from a former quarterback from this organization who called me and watched it. And it was very humbling yesterday to talk about George Atkinson, who's been my Raiders mentor. And I want to continue that today because we got a new audience every day. So if you didn't have a chance to call me on George Atkinson, I'm going to take it kind of personally. You know how tight George was to me. George was my guy. George was my guy, along with Freddie and George and Cliff. Those are my guys. So George needs a week on this show of hearing from people. If you want to call in on the Dodgers, please do, or anything else. But we need to hear from some people on George Atkinson and Mrs. Davis, Carol Davis. Now, I will tell you today, before Phil Villapiano joins us, I'm trying to have a guest every day on George. And I think we'll be able to do that this week. But today, I interviewed Pete Carroll. It's the first time I've seen him since the bye week. I'm never going to share with you what Pete Carroll says to me off the record because we don't have a lot of time. He comes into the studio. He is on a clock. He walks in there very genuine. But today we were setting up the camera angles for TV in the podcast studio. And I looked at him. I go, you see that Dodger game last night? And he looks at me and he goes, yeah, I was on the phone with my grandson up until about the 12th inning. I don't think Pete would care if I shared that with you. Imagine that. Here's a grandfather on the phone with his grandson as Ohtani's having this memorable game. And I got fans in the Raider Nation who are busting his balls. I got fans questioning Pete Carroll. How could you question Pete Carroll? He's done everything already. He's done it. He's done it. It's already done. It's in the vault. He's trying to help us win. Then I asked him about Geno. Specifically, Coach, what did you and Chip Kelly see with Geno as you evaluated him going forward? We'll save that for the interview. I thought what his answer was pretty unique. But as I open up the show, I will say this about Pete Carroll. He's genuinely a great guy. He needs to be treated that way by the fans of this organization, win or lose. You could be pissed off he's losing, and he's losing, man. He hasn't had a bump in the road like this in a long time. But show some respect on this guy's name for the human being he is and what he's accomplished in life. He's a good dude. They're all good. You just choose not to like some of them. I think a lot of people respect Pete and like him, but there is a small army of trolls and people who claim to be Raider fans who are really making it personal on a guy who came here to help. Let me repeat that and look in the camera. He came here to help you in the Raider Nation after losing for 20 years, as you were blanking and moaning about every other coach, some you like more than others, and now he's up. It's a bumpy road. We ask him every question. We don't get in a fight with him. We don't embarrass him. He doesn't embarrass me. We ask him about the quarterback. We ask him about the defense. What about the offensive line that can't open holes? We got it covered here. I got it. You want to criticize it, blame me. What a good dude, man. I mean, and what I took out of this interview, which you'll hear, I have never been more sold on Pete Carroll wanting to run the ball than today. Oh, boy. You want to take something out of this monologue and clip it? Clip this. I have never been more sold today on Pete Carroll's philosophy of running the football. Everything going forward moves on that. They have got to establish the run to get Geno going. He didn't tell me that specifically, but I'm a talk show host, and I can tell you what my impressions of the interview that I conducted. I look him in the eye. He looks me in the eye. He wants to run the ball. Everything is predicated on getting this kid Ashton Genty going. If it does, it opens it up for Geno. Now, I was led to believe, because I watched Geno play, that if Geno didn't have a running game and he didn't have his number one tight end, he'd figure it out. He hasn't. He has not figured it out yet. So they brought in Tyler Lockett. I asked him, Coach, the timing on Tyler Lockett, take me behind the scenes. Well, Tyler Lockett chose to go to another team. It didn't work out. Now he's coming now. We all know. I didn't need to follow up and say, does Geno need a pacifier and a blanket? Did you bring him in for that? Because I respect the coach and he respects me. But it's pretty obvious that they brought in Tyler Lockett to get Geno going. Geno hasn't gotten going yet. You better believe they brought in his friend, his guy, to get him going. And why wouldn't you want that in the Raider Nation? I got Raider fans because it's taking away targets from Jack Bech. Give me a break. Jack Bech will be fine. They got to get Jack Bech going in practice before they can get him going in games. And yeah, they got to develop him. And I like Jack. I think Jack's a good player, and I don't think they're using him correctly. I don't think they're using Dante Thornton Jr. correctly. I don't think they're using Michael Mayer correctly. I go back to Josh McDaniels with that. And Antonio Pierce. Do you know that I looked Josh McDaniels in the eye, Antonio Pierce and Pete Carroll, and said that Big Mike was drafted here to be a great player? I've asked the same 3 questions, and they don't get him the ball. They got him the ball one week. They don't get him the ball the next week. So I think I know what I'm doing here. But I will tell you, this is a big game for Pete Carroll and his entire staff because they had time to break down the film, and Pete had time to break down the film. And they got to get this thing moving. Okay? This thing's got to get moving now off the train track. The train didn't leave in Kansas City. It never left the station. You get a bye week, then you get a home game. We're not playing the 85 Bears, everybody. Okay? We're not playing the 70 Steelers that this guest, Phil Villapiano, played against the greatest teams in the toughest games. The great Phil Villapiano joins us. And Fu, before we get into this team, condolences to you on the loss of your great friend, George Atkinson. And I know you had a deep relationship with Mrs. Carol Davis on the loss of her, too.
Yeah, what a sad week, JT. And, great player in George and great owner's wife, great friend. And I call her Caroli, just like Al did. And I feel very special that he never corrected me. I just, when I heard him call his wife Caroli, she was a great lady. And JT, she bought me more than one beer at some of those away games when, I knew if I got to the bar in the airport, Mrs. Davis would be in there and she knew I liked beer, so she always took care of me.
Hey, Phil, I wanted to ask you about that because I was thinking about this. She was everywhere. And I can't imagine the conversations that a husband and wife have. They have business, houses. They got to talk about finances, kids, everything. Can you imagine the amount of content that Mrs. Davis had from being married to Al Davis and traveling with guys like you your entire career? I mean, the wealth of knowledge of Carol Davis, I don't think people talk about it enough of what she saw and what she was able to talk about.
Yeah, hey, that's a great point, JT. And, talking to her was, I don't want to say it was like talking to Al, but it wasn't too far off. Mm-hmm. She talked football, and she talked your opponent. And she talked what they're going to do to you, what they're going to try and do. And it was like talking to, and it's, as you said, a ton of football in that brain because being married to Al Davis, that's probably all they talked about, besides, like you said, their million other investors. What a beautiful lady and a sharp, hey, Kate, but the way she, always to the nines. And, hey, he made us, all us football players, very proud when, we would be around her. And there she was, the boss's wife, looking like a million. Such a great lady. And I didn't know. She got to 90, 93?
Yeah, 93. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Living without faith and getting 93, that is better get a trophy for a Vince Lombardi.
That's Foo. Phil Villapiano joins us. Let's get to George Atkinson because I looked at his entrance to the AFL. He was beyond his opening 2 games put him on the Pro Bowl map as a rookie. He played punt return, kick return, cornerback, and he had an explosive start in the AFL, 5 AFC championship games. Give me a little about George, the player, before we get to the human being. When you saw a 180-pound guy behind you, and what was he saying with Tatum, and how was he covering your back and lining up next to you and calling out defenses? Give us a little of George as a player.
Well, that's a really great question. And we'd be happy to answer that because George, and all of us that knew him, really well, knew he could talk a million miles an hour. Yak, 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 yak. I almost called him, instead of ack, I want to call him yak because the guy never shut up. And he'd be right behind me, and he'd be screaming at the tight ends, all kinds of nasty stuff. And I'm the one that had to fight the tight end, and all the time and all this stuff. And then we had this play called an out call where George would come up and push me out, and I took the back and he took the tight end, and he'd be right in the tight end's throat and then grabbing him and holding him, and it just was just beautiful football. And I love the way he did it and what he said. Like, okay, fool, your turn, and I gotta give you one that I was thinking, JT, since we talked this morning. We're playing the New York Jets, and it was LaMonica versus Joe Namath.
Yes.
It was the big Monday night game at our place. I think the Monday, or it might even been Sunday. Don't matter. Anyway, and I go out and I give Maynard a shot right in the nose because it was the last drive. If they scored, they win. So I took out the guy with a nice shot to the face, and onto the field comes the Weebue Bank, and he's coming out there, must weigh 350 pounds, and he's screaming at me, calling me a cheap shot, and right in his face, Packaging went up to him, and I've never heard so many swear words out of somebody's mouth in 1 minute. What he told Weebue Bank.
Wow. Unbelievable.
So beautiful.
Hey, Phil, let me jump in. How did George handle the criminal element, the lawsuit? Because he was aggressive on Swan. Those hits today would not be allowed. He would have been suspended. So the other fans said they were dirty. Other people said aggressive. Raider fans know that, the Russ Francis and Lynn Swan hits were pretty brutal. I mean, punching guys in the nose, the clothesline. I talked to him about it, but that was part of the game. How did George handle the fans around the country who gave him a certain reputation, as the Raider fans loved him for that reputation?
Yeah, and George was, you're right, and you could take that either way. You could take that and oh no, it's feeling bad. I'm feeling bad because everybody hates me and everybody thinks I'm a cheap shot, and everybody calls me a dirty player. But George loved it, and he loved it, and Tate loved it, and these guys did nothing more than other guys would do. That period of football, it was the Wild Wild West. I mean, You could do stuff you can't do right now, as you said. But JT, George never flinched. And I think the bigger his reputation grew as a cheap shot, dirty player, the more he liked.
Phil Villapiano's our guest. So I know from the stories, Mark worked at his liquor store. George had family, the kids I had a chance to meet, and God bless his remaining kids. He lost the twins. I mean, George went through a lot of personal anguish in his life, but the relationship he had with Mark was really interesting. You obviously have a great relationship with him, but Cliff and George were a little bit closer to Mark than anybody I've seen. And then Cliff passes away. Mark's able to give him one of the biggest parties ever with Diana Ross in Canton. And then George, I mean, every time I saw George put me on the map because I was able to get to know Mark better through George Atkinson. And Charles Woodson told us yesterday he would connect and he would be on the sidelines, and George would give him encouragement after every game. George was very well connected with the family of the Davises, but also the younger players and the current players in the locker room.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, JT. And hey, George would help you. And if you could possibly be a good player, George is right there behind you. If you weren't a good player, he had no time for you. He was out there to win football games. That's what we get paid to do. That's what he wanted to do. As far as Mark goes, Bobby Moore and I were roommates, and Cliff and George were roommates, and we had one of the adjoining rooms. I think Mark Davis was in George's room every single night, and whether it be playing backgammon or chess or whatever was dominoes. Oh, George would call it jailhouse, and it was always fun. And we had more fun with Cliff and George and the day, Mark and Cliff and George, those three, there was nobody tighter than them. It was really, really fun to watch. And I got to tell you, one time, me and Bobby would go play tennis at lunch, between practice. And one day we came back to the room, and George and Cliff told Bobby and I it was the sissies game. You sissies, play tennis here. We said, well, why don't you come play it? You're too big. So anyway, they went and practiced for a couple of days, and then we had the big match the next week.
Oh,
and
wow.
Bobby and I crushed. See George and Cliff playing tennis. That was
Never heard a great story. That is
that was
amazing.
so funny.
Hey, Phil, before you go,
That was beautiful.
yeah, before you go, how you guys holding up? I mean, seriously, John Vella, Morris Bradshaw passes away, Mrs. Davis, George way too early. If you can share with our audience, what is that fraternity like when someone passes and you're part of the original Super Bowl 11 team and you lose someone from the 11 victory squad, like the text messages and the phone calls and everybody checking in with each other for mental health? What's that like?
Yeah, it's really hard, JT, and it's hard to get on a show like with your show right now. And George would only want it one way. He'd want me to be full, and he would want me to scream and yell and tell stories. And I think that's what we all do. And John Vella, I got to speak at his his funeral, and I just went everything positive, and that's what we do. We know we're in a tough game. We know we beat up our bodies quite a bit, and maybe we're not going to live as long as other people. Well, Caroli Davis lived as long.
Yeah.
But anyway, I feel so sad for the personal problems that George went through with his two sons, and then I called Otis last night, and I was talking to Trunk, and he told me last week he tried to get in touch with George, and George couldn't speak.
Mm-hmm.
And and Trunk was breaking down on the phone, telling me that, and yeah, we all feel it. We all feel it, but we all try to stay positive because we're Raiders, and that's what we do.
Yeah. Last one on the current team. You heard a little bit about it as you were coming on. I mean, they got to get going. I mean, look, this isn't a Super Bowl team yet. Pete Carroll came in, John Spytek. They're trying to turn it around. You've been through coach after coach. You're still tight with John Gruden. I know how much respect you have for Pete Carroll and what Pete Carroll means to you in this organization as he's the current coach, and especially Max Crosby. But Phil, it's go time now. I mean, you can put anybody out there on a football. These are all NFL players. Some might be backups, practice squad guys. You played in an era where you just laced it up and you went and competed. We got to get some wins going around here coming off the bye week. What's the one thing or two things you want to see from the Raiders with Jacksonville at home at Allegiant Stadium to try to get this moving in the right direction?
Well, I would like to. Hey, I would like to see us play some flawless football, and I've never seen so many, easy plays that turn into nothing. I'm talking about a nice crossing pattern, and the ball goes sailing over the head, intercepted. A guy runs right in. A nice. Okay, it's all set up. We threw the ball 3 or 4 times. We're going to run one up the middle, and bam, he runs right into the back of one of the big offensive linemen. I mean, let's play football. I don't see the Raiders playing football. I see them. I don't know what they're doing. They're just going up and collecting paychecks. What is this hard to watch, JT? And I want to see excitement. Okay, that could be my first thing. Get excited, play the game. To play the game like George Ackford played the game. Come up and nail somebody, and knock their helmet off, and get the rest of your teammates excited.
Mhm.
I want them to play like pros. And if you watch even the New York Jets last weekend,
Mhm.
to come back on Cincinnati Cincinnati and come back and win that game, played like pros. And everybody out there, JT, there's not that much difference between the linebacker from the Raiders and the linebacker from, Jacksonville
Mhm.
this week. It's a guy who plays hardest
Yeah.
wins, because they're all good athletes. And everybody's been drafted. Everybody gets to the pro level. They've been all state. Everybody was all state. Everybody was all county, all that stuff. Play hard. I want to see somebody play hard. I want to see somebody play like George Atkinson played. And I'll be happy. Go ahead, lose the game, but play hard. And,
Yeah.
take your jersey off and give a Raider jersey to somebody from another team after you lost the game. It makes me sick when I see that kind of
Wow.
stuff. Let's go.
All right, Fu. We'll see you out here soon. You coming out here soon?
I'm going to be out there. I think I'll be there for the Dallas game.
Yeah,
I'd like
Monday
to
night.
kick their ass. And then the Giant game. I'd like to kick their ass.
We'll have some beverages. Take care, Phil. Good to see you.
Okay. Thanks, JT. Bye-bye.
Wow. Phil Villapiano. I mean, how beautiful is that conversation? When you think of the history of the Raiders, where do you put Fu? I put him there with Atkinson, Bolitnikoff, all of them. I think of them as all great people that have changed my life in a positive way to have a conversation like that. The takeaway, and we just moved Bill Williamson to 1 o'clock because Phil went long and I wanted him to go long. I wanted to do 15 minutes with Phil. He's so good, such a personally great guy, and another guy like George. I just want to share something quickly with George that, I don't want to get too emotional. I had a really rough couple days here with losing George. Is that one of the reasons I'm lucky? A lot of this is luck. I don't win the Jim Rome smack off. I don't get hired to get in radio. I don't get heard at night to get hired by the Raiders. There was a path in my life, a path that a lot of it had to do with luck, not talent, just luck. And what George did for me, and I'm going to be talking about it on some other platforms, is he gave me the ability to meet these guys with some form of credibility early in my career. When George said to Villapiano, I don't remember the exact moment, but yeah, this is the guy I'm on radio and TV with. He's one of us. I can't tell you how many times George would have a beer in his hand and say to a Raider, a former legend, yeah, this is JT, I work with them. And that was my introduction to that level of Raider players. And it really helped me, really did. Just like Black Hole Rob Rivera gave me the entrance into the black hole, which I had to have if I was going to be able to work here. George Atkinson gave me the entrance to the Raider alumni, and Morris Bradshaw and all these guys who were losing here. And I've just lost a couple of friends lately with the Raiders, and it's hard. It's really hard. But they all want you to go on and win the game. And how about what he said at the end about winning the game? Just go win the game. Don't worry about taking your jersey off and signing it on the field for another friend of yours after you lost the game. I will never forget that comment. It has now changed my opinion about a jersey swap. The rule should be, if you win the game, go swap the jersey. You lose the game, don't go to the 50 and take it off and give it to someone else. Because Phil Villapiano said it. I never played the game, but Phil did. And that's what Phil thinks. We got a couple of opportunities here for phone calls. 702-365-9200. Jeff Sherman with the moving odds. Hey, how are you going to bet the World Series? You get fresh odds now. You're going to bet Toronto to come back? You're going to bet this game individually, or Toronto with heavy odds to come back? God, Ohtani's unbelievable. Oh, my God. Is Ohtani unbelievable? I'll have a lot to say on what he was able to do last night. Wow, Phil. Man, Phil, huh? Yeah, and those interviews we send to the Raiders, Marcus and them.
Yep.
So we'll get on that. Oh, look at the La Casa promotion. How about my son? My son Jason putting together the graphics. La Casa, Friday, Halloween.
Morning's Milkgate. Weekdays at 7.
Halloween Friday.
So an exclusive casino partner, the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their
Nice. It's amazing what AI can do, Clay. You can go into Grok and say, make me a graphic for my remote on Friday at La Casa, and you get a graphic in less than 5 seconds.
Takes like a couple hours on it,
Yeah, it's incredible. Thank you. I appreciate it. We've done some nice radio shows, but it's unfortunate because we're talking about people who pass away.
Southern Nevada shipping. Modelo is an official cerveza of the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brick Show. Modelo Especial is a rich, flavored Pilsner-style lager, delivering a crisp, refreshing taste. Brewed with fighting spirit since 1925. Raider Nation. Your chance at a $2,500 game day experience? Terrible. Qualified purchase at any participating Terrible using the new Terrible Plus Rewards app for your chance to win each week. One lucky customer will win a damn in-resort Pochettino, a $1,500 Raider shopping spree, home game ticket, and access to the Mattel Cantina Club. Every day is game day, exclusively at Terrible's. Visit Terrible's.
Yeah, just texting a couple people heard that interview, send a nice text.
Radio 20. The holidays are just around the corner. It's time to show up in force with Albertsons to combat hunger and stock the pantry at the Salvation Army. Come join us and the rest of Radio Nation Radio 920 on Saturday, November 1st at the Albertsons, located at 7151 West Craig Road, as we collect canned and other non-perishable food items. Again, that's the Albertsons, the 7151 West Craig Road.
All right. So I was getting to that in the monologue that Pete wants to run the ball really hard. I mean, that's where we're at. Got to run the ball. I'm not saying he doesn't have confidence in Geno at all. But, man, it's like I had that moment sitting down with Pete today where I felt like he was like, hey, if anything's going to happen here going forward, we better run it. We better get the running game going. So take that for what it's worth.
First. Power believes in you. It advocates for you. It completes your circle. It makes sure you have the strongest circle possible.
Take calls here.
Yeah. Always take calls if available.
That's the power of me. Intermountain Health. Hey, Jeff, how's the new job?
Prayers for Mikey Rotunda. What's going on with Mikey?
I gotta get a new job. Wait, what?
You
don't have to curse at me.
Dude, you should check out Truck U CDL training. My brother got his CDL license in 4 weeks, and now he has a new career making great money.
All right.
Okay.
Did you want to make a comment on
Truck
that?
U offers
Yeah.
times available. They will even
Where
help with
he's going
payment
to be in
programs.
town?
Check them
I'll
out.
call you to
Truck,
look up.
the letter U, LV.com. Truck U.
Sign up today for a new William Hill Nevada mobile sports account, and you can earn up to a $250 bonus bet after placing your first qualifying wager. The William Hill Nevada mobile sports app allows you to bet on the go from any iPhone, iPad, or Android device from anywhere in Nevada. Sign up today, and you will never miss another bet. With the largest wagering menu, the mobile sports app features same-game parlays, early cash out, and live in-play wagering on all major sports. For more information, official rules, and to see participating sign-up locations,
They got Raider D there.
Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
When you are injured, knowing someone has your back changes everything.
I'm going to do a live read for La Casa if we can get this, Clay, at some point. Thank you.
It's a long family heritage that we proudly carry on. From our father to our family to the expert legal team at the Castroverde, we founded this firm for you. We're the Castroverde Brothers, and we have your back.
BrothersWin.com.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the DeCastro Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
From the opening bell to a closing bell, you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit hard, and you're going to get hit consistently.
Yeah, you better believe.
Leave them with an impression that, hey, it's not a contact sport. This is a collision sport. And that's what we did. We made collisions with wide receivers.
You better believe that we're going to give George Atkinson extra days of tribute. JT, back with you, along with Mrs. Carol Davis, as they both passed away. We're paying tribute to these legends. Quick reminder, and let's put this up on our YouTube channel again. La Casa Cigars this Friday. So we're live from noon to 2 at La Casa. I have it up on my YouTube channel this Friday, broadcasting live. We're going to have cigars. If you like cigars, you're going to love it. It's Halloween. If you'd like to dress up, I might have a surprise or two. We'll have prizes. We'll be out there at La Casa as Mike is getting this. This place is amazing. I mean, I love it. I'm there a bunch, and it's a really cool place to hang out. Live music, but it's the middle of the day. So if you're in Summerlin, it's close. If you're in Henderson, make time. Come on out. Come see us from noon to 2. We'll talk Raiders, and all of our partners are aligned with La Casa, Woodson Bourbon Whiskey, Remy Martin, Tito's, all the Castaverde Law Group. They're right across the street. So we have a lot of friends that show up. And again, if you can make it on Halloween, I know you got the kids on Halloween, but I don't do a lot of remotes. I got one coming up here at La Casa. I'd like you to come there. Mike does a great job for us. La Casa Cigars and Lounge, Tivoli Village, free parking. We're there from noon to 2. Bring some friends. I know Raider D loves a good stick. I just wish, you're up in the town. Wish you were down here, Raider D. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, JT. In fact, I'll be there this weekend. I'll get there Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll try and stop by there and
please do
remote. Kind of like back in the old days, man, when you and George were on there, man, and Mort, man. George was a very special person, not just a football player, not just a guy that knocked heads off on Sundays, but very special in this community. He's really going to be missed, man. He is truly a Raider Nation legend, one of the originals, man. So, big ups,
Hey, T, real quick. George was from Savannah. He went to Morris Brown, and he adopted Oakland. Man, he loved Oakland. You remember the liquor store, him being around, the Hilton, the remotes. I mean, George was Oakland through and through, even though he wasn't born there.
Exactly, man. Hey, he would come and hang out at Art's Crab Shack with us. We did a lot of charity events. He did a lot of charity and gave back a lot to this community. So, hey, Savannah, we know that was in his heart, man. But George, he loved Oakland. He loved this area, and he loved the Raiders. He stayed a Raider through and through. All the way, man. So we're going to miss him and still missing Mort because we did a lot of those things together. You ever get him and Mort together, you talk about football knowledge and the game, man, it was just big. And we were blessed to have both of those and Miss Davis in our life, man. So that's a big ups. JT, I'm looking forward to this weekend, man, hanging out with you, burning some good sticks and having a good time out there, man. So no matter what's going on with the team, man, you either a Raider Nation, or you're not. And we're built like we can deal with this. We'll get through this. We still gonna hang in, until these guys get it turned around. But I believe, as I always tell you, JT, it all starts up front. So once we get leadership and we get that group going, we'll be able to run the ball. We'll be able to pass and do the things, that we know it takes to win games.
Yes.
So,
all right, D, I'll see you this weekend, man. Look forward to it. Take care. Raider D in Oakland coming in this weekend. Nice to know. Another dear friend I met through the Raiders and the Black Hole, and just a good guy in general. He said it all starts up front. And I only have so much time with Pete Carroll. And we know that the offensive line has been an issue this year. We all know that. I don't interview Pete Carroll to be Captain Obvious. I get about 10 or 12 minutes with him. I got to rattle through. Half of it's on the opponent, right? Half of it's on the Jaguars. That's part of our business model. We're interviewing the coach of this team, talking about the coach of the other team. But I've been very disappointed with the offensive line. And I believe, look, we're entering a new era of college football with the NIL and what's happening. But in the NFL, we're seeing young general managers like John Spytek, young, right? And guys who are in their 30s or 40s. I think they want to make trades. I have no idea if Tom Brady and John Spytek and his scouting department likes to make a trade or two. But how good would it be to trade for an offensive lineman at the trade deadline? And here's what I mean by that. How cool would it be to get a third-round pick who's been in the league for 4 years, playing on a team, and the team wants to move that player because they don't want to extend him on a new contract? Okay, you'd say, well, why would we want that player? Why? Because he'd have a new coach and a new system, and maybe he would shine here. We already drafted 2 young offensive linemen. We haven't seen them play, really. So if there's a trade and someone gets traded, I'm not looking to trade Jacoby Myers and other players here. I stay in my lane on that. If they're going to make a trade, they're going to make a trade. But Clay, if they're interested in upgrading the roster, why are we always talking quarterback and wide receiver or letting a wide receiver go? Don't you think this place needs a new offensive lineman or two?
Yeah, it all starts there. You can't go any forward. You can't go any forward with your offense unless you can start blocking for the runners and helping the protection for the quarterback. It starts there and ends there.
100%. And I don't think they're going to trade for an offensive lineman because they're tough to get. The teams that have good ones want to hold on to them. The teams that don't have great offensive lines, we don't have a great offensive line, Raider Nation. They're looking for them. Jeff Sherman will join us coming back on the other side. And he'll talk about the games. Chris Myers at 1:30, Bill Williamson at 1. How do we pick a show like this? Well, we ask good guests to come on. And they are brought to you by the DeCastro Verde Law Group. Hopefully we'll see them there on Friday. If you get into an accident and get injured, the brothers win. The brothers win. Brotherswin.com.
Sanction the game after they sanction hours and overtime. They sanction the holiday. The holiday break is sanctioned. Only one was out.
Stevie fix figures.
All right. Thank you.
Zap Auto has expanded into one of the largest independent auto repair shops in the Valley. With 23
Hey,
bays,
Jeff, it's
over
Clay with JT.
12,000
How's it
square
going, man?
feet, ZipZap is your
I'm
one-stop
fine, thank you.
shop.
Is this a good time for a couple
24
minutes?
hours fog test.
Cool. I'll put that on. We'll come back in 40 minutes.
Engine and transmission rebuilding. And ZipZap provides.
All right, Thor, we're gonna do Jeff Sherman here, and then we'll go to your call. Okay, stay right there, okay?
Necessary
Take care.
24-hour service. ZipZap Auto, Cheyenne and North Durango Drive, and online
All right,
at zipzapauto.com. Hey, babe, where are you going?
Fantastic indoor swap meet.
The swap meet. I love fantastic.
All right. We're having a fun show today, man. It's not like crazy nuts.
It's a lot more fun than shopping online.
Okay, let's spend the afternoon. It's just over.
Got my nephew in town. My nephew's in town from New York. I'm going to go see him.
Fantastic.
Insane. Got it.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Local 872, your work solution.
When you hear 872, you think of Tommy White building the city on time and on budget. Thanks to the Local 872 and thanks to Jeff Sherman, who's kind enough to join us, the VP of Risk Management over at the Westgate. And Jeff, I want to begin with the Dodgers. Walk me through your team last night, how that game played out, run line, total, Ohtani, props. What was going on with the madness in LA?
Well, usually, especially in the World Series, we see a lot of pro support for positive things to happen. And we did have a lot of Dodger run line support, a lot of over support too, Dodgers team total over, things like that. Player props, a lot of positive for Ohtani. So those cashed, even though he got walked so many times, was because of so many plate appearances. But a fun game to watch and one that I couldn't make to the end.
A lot of people couldn't. Tell me about the player props, because I know that's a topic I want to get into maybe at a longer rate on a podcast with you down the road. But the Ohtani player props there, so much public money is on Ohtani. How do you set those props? What goes behind the scenes as you set those numbers?
Well, there has been a lot of public play on him, and now it's changing with what we saw last night. So setting the line, it's all about public perception. And now people think that he's not going to get pitched to tonight. Mm-hmm. So when we're doing like the total base prop, usually you do it at 2.5. Well, we set it at 1.5 today, and we're seeing under money already for it. So it moved from over favored to now under -140. So there's a lot of sentiment that people think the Blue Jays are going to continue what we saw last night.
Jeff Sherman is our guest. So give us the price going into this game. What's it changed overall? World Series odds to win it all, especially with Toronto also on the money line.
Yeah, for the game tonight, the Dodgers are a -195 favorite, Toronto +175. So far, initial support for the Dodgers. And the series price is up to Dodgers -600 and Toronto +450.
All right, so Toronto +450. And when we look at Toronto going forward here, they had a great performance by one of their bullpen pitchers last night. I just don't know how you handicap a game if it's going to be a bullpen game or not. I mean, they embrace a bullpen game, and the Dodgers bullpen was fresh coming into the game last night, but they burned a lot of guys also going through, guys that they weren't even familiar with a week or two ago.
Yeah, there's no doubt. You know, the tough thing for Toronto they have to look ahead to is you have Ohtani tonight, next game Snell, and next game Yamamoto.
Yeah.
So 3 aces up against it. So tonight is pretty much a must-win for him because it'd be tough to beat Snell and Yamamoto back-to-back.
All right, I'm sure the public was on Kansas City last night. They covered. What are you noticing here with the overall Super Bowl odds with Kansas City and the AFC and the Super Bowl? They look like they're back and as good as ever.
Yeah, the public was on Kansas City last night. We did have a lot of sharp two-way, taking 10.5 and laying 10, so well-handled game. But Super Bowl odds, Chiefs the sole favorite at 9-2, followed by the Lions at 6, Buffalo and Green Bay at 7. After that, you get into double digits on everyone.
Jeff Sherman joins us, VP of Risk Management. I want to stay with Buffalo again. That's my Super Bowl pick here. What do you need to see with Buffalo now? How has it changed in the AFC with the quality of play of New England on a 5-game winning streak?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough thing. Look, the marquee game this weekend is Chiefs at Bills, and we're sitting at Kansas City -2. Before the season, we had this around Pick'em. So everyone is behind the Chiefs here. We expect the public to be on the short favorite Chiefs in this game. Big game for Buffalo here because if they can get the tiebreaker from the win, so it should be a fun one to watch. Yeah, New England is putting some pressure on Buffalo right now, too. So their odds keep dropping. They're down to 25-1 for the Super Bowl, which is really respectable at this point.
What about the number for the Colts and what you've seen with them at 7-1 now? Colts at Steelers here, and when was the last time we talked about Daniel Jones being a road favorite?
Daniel Jones in the MVP conversation too, hovering around 15-1. The Colts are down to 12-1 for the Super Bowl, garnering respect from the betting public and the bookmaker side of it. And you see him a 3-point road favorite at Pittsburgh, which something we haven't seen in a few years.
Jeff, the Texans and the Broncos, if you can get to that, a tight number here overall, really good game. The Broncos are playing excellent football, and it seems like the Texans coming off a big win against the Niners get a boost.
Yeah, we opened this one pick 'em, and I've seen sharp support on the Texans side. We get it to Texans -1.5, low total at 39.5.
The Raiders are at home against the Jaguars coming off a bye week. We've seen the Raiders really struggle here, and Geno Smith. Unfortunately, Geno hasn't got going at all here. Ashton Genty in the running game here. Raiders catching 3 to 3.5. What's your current number over at the Westgate as the Jaguars come to town?
Yeah, when we first hung this, we had Jacksonville 2.5. It's up to 3 -116. And don't forget, we use a 16-cent line on it, so it's even money on the Raiders. It feels like one-way traffic here. The public doesn't want anything to do with the Raiders right now. Wouldn't surprise me to see this get to 3.5 if the wise guys don't take it back.
Does the public on the Cowboys, too, with the Cardinals, as we look at this game? The Cardinals have been reeling as of late, and just when the Cowboys show us that they can get going, that loss in Denver was disturbing for them in their offense.
Well, that's just it. The public is, what have you done for me lately? And after what they saw happen in Denver, this line went from 3 down to Dallas -2.5 now. And we don't expect too much support for Dallas off of that. I think it's going to be mixed here. And 2.5, like we mentioned before, is considered equal team.
Lastly, on the NBA, roughly season win total with the Lakers. Without Luka, they won. Without LeBron, was not playing early on in the season here. Where are the Lakers overall as they're getting some good play from some backups and some role players? I've just watched a few NBA games this year. I've been impressed with the Lakers and their depth.
Yeah, well, they're out of bodies right now, and that's why they lost to Portland last night. They were catching 3 against the Trailblazers. They play at Minnesota tomorrow night. Like you mentioned, no Luka, no LeBron, no Gabe Vincent. The list goes on and on. So they have a tough stretch, and we have the NBA Cup starting on Friday. I've had to prolong their odds on that because in the short term, things aren't looking well. They're out to 18-1 for the NBA title at this point.
And you were one of the first people I talked to about the NBA Cup. Going forward, for those listeners who want to bet with the NBA Cup, is it building momentum, or more and more of your customers interested in that bet?
A lot of people don't even know what's going on, honestly. It's we have odds to win the cup, and we have group odds, and it's getting minimal traction at this point. Usually once the games start on Friday, then we'll see more support for it. But right now it's approaching and not much fanfare.
Not much fanfare on something they're trying to get fanfare with. What a surprise for Adam Silver. Jeff, always a pleasure having you on. I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, thanks, JT.
Jeff Sherman, VP of Risk Management over at the Westgate. I tell a lot of people when they come to town, if you want the best sports book in town, it's at the Westgate. Yeah, sorry. Best service, best customer service I've seen. A lot of my friends work there. I send everybody over to the Superbook at the Westgate. Clay, you've been going to the Westgate as long as I know you, right?
Oh, yeah. With Jeff Sherman and Jay Kornegay, you never get treated any better than
you get treated like gold when you go over there, and love the experience there. I was just there for the Blitnikoff crab feed. Stopped by, said hello to a couple of people at the window, had a couple of friends there. Head on out to the Westgate. That was a good hour. Really appreciate that. Phil Villapiano, Jeff Sherman. So here's what we got. Bill Williamson. Get ready for him. Bill Williamson, the biggest straight shooter I have on the show. He'll join us. And then Chris Myers, who's on the call. He's calling the Raider-Jaguar game. My friend Chris Myers, who I'll be having cocktails with on Friday, is calling the game. He joins us at 1:30.
Extend your NFL.
All right, we'll keep it here for Bill Williamson. We'll reset here and then go from there.
Just in case, call 444-4444.
Join Raider Nation Radio for the UNLV football pregame against the New Mexico Lobos at Whiskey Stadium. Great food, cold drink, and enter to win a pair of tickets to the club that are all-inclusive food and beverage for the UNLV home game.
Boyd Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Still at the same number. Been at for a long time.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, he's a 303 number. Yep. Yep. Please bet responsibly. All right, I got time for the chat now, man. How we doing in the chat? All right, Snow Raider, Big D, Messy Jesse.
It's Dr.
Messy Jesse behaving. Messy Jesse's kind of getting in line here, man. See that name here a lot.
West Craig Road as we collect canned and other non-perishable food items. Again, that's the Albertson, the 7151 West Craig Road. Raiders Radio 91.
Pat Williamson called it a wee-ass bowl. The Titans and the Raiders, huh? Everyone's good. The bricklayers are here. The King's out. With that cooked order chicken fingers, crispy crinkle cut fries, that buttery Texas toast, and that iconic cane sauce. Don't forget the jugs of lemonade and tea to keep your crew refreshed. Skip the hassle. Bring the flavor. Game day the Cane's way. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, official chicken fingers of the UNLV Rebels. Go Rebels!
Modelo is an official cerveza of the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brick Show. Modelo Especial is a rich, full-flavored Pilsner-style lager, delivering a crisp, refreshing taste, brewed with fighting spirit since 1925.
Running a business.
You know why the Dodgers? Let's lead with the Dodgers. Let's give me 5 minutes on the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the best team money can buy. Okay? Ohtani's an Angel. Betts is a Red Sox. Freeman is a Atlanta Brave. Okay? They got mercenaries all over that. Yamamoto is not a Dodger. He didn't grow up in the Dominicana and come to the Dodgers through their farm system. He's a mercenary. Blake Snell was a Tampa Bay Ray. Pitched for the Padres everywhere. So the Dodgers are buying players that help you in the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th inning. So I know the rules and they're winning. Am I bitter about it? Sounds a little bit bitter. It does. Because I think the money is bailing them out. You know how much more they spent than Toronto? And it took them 18 innings to not go down 2-1 at Toronto. You don't think the money matters? You don't think the money paid to Mookie Betts, who can play shortstop, matters? Come on, man. Come on. Red Hulk, my Yankees did this too, but my Yankees had more developmental players. They did. Derek Jeter developed. Jorge Posada, Mariano Rivera, Andy Pettitte, born in the system. Now, of course, they had Roger Clemens and A-Rod, who they overpaid for, and Giancarlo Stanton, a bum. I get it. But the fact is, the Dodgers spend more than the Yankees. When you spend the most, you have to take the heat for that. I know that. I'm a Yankee fan. I'm aware of this. But the Dodgers spend more than the Yankees.
Cash tomorrow.
Okay.
Now, store.com today for details. See website for details. Lending story is not a lender. It does not make credit. Must be 18 years old. It's not available in all states. NCAA football has a home on Raider Nation Radio. Listen to a feature game every Saturday right here on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM KRLP Las Vegas. It's the
I want to play on longer than a guy lined up then I want to be the space. That's where the Raiders look at guys like excellence every day. And now here's JT the
Yes, hour number 2 of the show as we begin. Hey, someone tell Paul Gutierrez and Harry Ruiz, if they had the payroll of the Milwaukee Brewers or the Toronto Blue Jays, they wouldn't be up 2-1 in the World Series. The Dodgers are officially the best team money can buy. Let me repeat this so my son can clip this. The Dodgers are the best team that money can buy. Ohtani was an Angel. Mookie was a Red Sox. Freddie Freeman was a legendary Atlanta Brave. They all came because of the enormous money that the Dodgers are spending. My Yankees spent a lot of money too. The Yankees have never spent this much money, not even close to this payroll. So when you're in the 14th inning, and the 15th inning and the 16th inning, and you got Yamamoto warming up in the bullpen. You don't have Yamamoto if you're not a mercenary. So the Dodgers are aggressive spenders. Now, someone's got to spend the most amount of money, right? The Mets can, the Yankees can. No. The Dodgers have spent the most amount of money, and they're only up 2-1. You don't think money had a lot to do with that? You don't think money is the reason why the Dodgers got Freddie Freeman? You don't think money's the reason why Ohtani went to the Dodgers and could have stayed and went anywhere else? It's money. And they don't look that great to me. They had to go 18 innings. They couldn't score a run. They couldn't score in the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. And the Dodgers have Will Smith and Muncy and all those other guys, and they can afford to keep those guys because they got the money. Muncy doesn't have to go anywhere. Will Smith doesn't have to leave because they're getting paid to stay. Do I sound a little bit bitter? Hell yeah, I'm bitter. I don't want the Dodgers to be a dynasty. Why would you unless you're a Dodger fan? Raise your hand and beep your horn if you're not a Dodger fan. Thousands of people just beep their horn from San Francisco to New York to Detroit. We are not rooting for you because we don't want you to be a dynasty. What's wrong with that? I can't believe how many people have told me recently, why do you hate the Dodgers? I don't hate anybody. I don't hate the Dodgers. It's the same thing with Kansas City. I don't want to see Kansas City be a dynasty. I don't want to see the Dodgers become a dynasty. I want my teams to be a dynasty. How freaking soft is this country in sports? How many sports fans now feel like they have to root? Oh, the game's in the 14th inning. I like the Dodgers. They have Ohtani. He's better than Babe Ruth. I'll root for them. Are you kidding me? All that money, and had to go 18 innings to beat Toronto. You couldn't name 4 players on Toronto, and one would be Scherzer. You couldn't name 4 players, Vladimir Guerrero, and I'd give you Scherzer. You couldn't name anybody on Toronto. And the Dodgers are going to easily win the World Series and build this dynasty. Bill Williamson joins us. What a great job he does. Bill, I waited to interview you on that performance in Kansas City. I think it was one of the worst Raider games ever played on offense, and it was a total game. But watching that game and seeing what the Raiders did on the road, what were your takeaways?
Wow, it was it was just ugly, and I think the thing that stood out to me is that when we got into that stadium, the Raiders were competing hard. They won that game on Christmas Day, which is real. A highlight of the last several years, that game. And then last year on Black Friday, they almost won the game. It's kind of a weird ending. And then this game, they just did not eat at all. And, it's just a continuation of what's been going on most of the last several weeks here. And they've been just getting hammered on the road. And I've seen it. Yeah, I mean, it was just a complete stinker. And, Gardner Minshew's playing in the third quarter. They're taking a knee before the warning, like 2:36, and Raiders had all their timeouts, and it was just you just don't see NFL games like that much.
Bill, I think Pete Carroll should be judged differently, just like John Gruden. John Gruden won a Super Bowl. Pete Carroll won a Super Bowl. If John Gruden's team struggled or Pete struggled, I give them more room than I would to an Antonio Pierce and Josh McDaniels, who were just different. Josh McDaniels proven that he isn't a good head coach. Then the second time he proved, and now he's proven he's a really good coordinator, but not a head coach. And Antonio Pierce, I thought, did a really nice job with the Raiders, but lost 10 in a row. What should the fans understand about Pete Carroll potentially turning this around this year? Or do you feel like it's going to have to be a total reset going into the offseason and restart it next year?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just wait and see. I mean, look, it's been 7 games. We're almost halfway through it. It hasn't been good. It hasn't been impressive. It seems disorganized. I think that kind of stands out to me. But yeah, I mean, he has a proven track record, so maybe he can turn it around. But we'll see. And I mean, I always thought the Pete Carroll hire was interesting because I thought there was shelf life. I mean, probably about a 3-year shelf life, and get them going. And I didn't know how high the ceiling was, but I thought that they can, get them to the next step. But if he doesn't get him to the next step in the next 10 games, I don't know what they do. I don't know what the end game here is, and I'm not advocating for them to blow it up again and to have another guy go one and done. I mean, what does that do to you? But I think that there's going to be a lot of decisions that have to be made and a lot of soul searching in that, in that front office and ownership group is really how do we get out of it?
Fair enough. Bill Williamson's our guest, silverandblackpride.com, one of our Raider insiders. So the thing about Chip Kelly, and I'd say this about him to his face and to hear I'm talking into a mic and on video, I know he's called every single possible play in the history of football, college and pro. I can't be more accurate with that statement, from double reverses, halfback options, triple crossing patterns, whatever it is, he's drew it up and called it. Now I'm not seeing him run his complete playbook because I don't believe he has the talent. The offensive line isn't very good, but I thought Geno would be able to be more mobile, Bill. What's really shocking to me this year is Geno's inability to run or want to run when the game is at a tipping point and maybe a 6-yard run up the middle can get the Raiders a new set of downs. Why are we not seeing that?
Yeah, maybe his age is catching up to him. Maybe the offensive line is catching up to him. Maybe there's trust issues. I don't know, but yeah, it's been a very flat offense, a very vanilla offense. And they missed the star tight end, and he'll be back this week, barring something unexpected. So we'll see. But yeah, they need to open things up a little bit. And they just need to be, I don't know if aggressive is the word, but it's just so often we just see 3 lousy plays and a punt, right? We weren't expecting that from Chip Kelly. So, there's a lot of people that came in here and were supposed to be an instant upgrade, whether it's the head coach, the offensive coordinator, the quarterback, and we just haven't seen the impact at any of those positions.
Bill Williamson joins us. I asked Pete Carroll today in my sit-down about the timeline with Tyler Lockett. I find it very interesting, and he answered it honestly because Tyler Lockett chose another team over this team before he came here, and now he's coming here out of necessity. We know the Titans aren't any good, and Geno likes him, Pete likes him, so I think that's something I'm okay with that. If anything can get Geno going, or if you said, hey, Geno, this week we're going to practice outside, not at the building, but across town, because that might get you going, I'm open to anything. But Tyler Lockett is going to take snaps away from Jacoby Myers, assuming he's here, and Besh and Thornton and the other receivers here. So why should Raider fans be concerned about this signing? Or maybe this is the last-ditch effort to get this offense going and to build confidence for Geno.
I found it to be an odd signing yesterday. When part of my job is to, when anybody becomes available, especially somebody with connections, you look into it. And I was like, well, okay, he's 33 years old. He didn't come here 6 months ago. They got a losing record. He didn't do much in Tennessee. This probably doesn't make sense. It made sense in March. It doesn't really make sense now. And yeah, you're right. He is going to take away snaps from whoever and some young players. And I don't know if a 2 of 5 team should be doing that with 33-year-olds. I found the timing of this signing to be a little strange.
But isn't the goal to win a game? If anybody can come in, like Amari Cooper came in. Yeah, Amari Cooper came in because they kicked the tires with him. And we'll find out that story down. I always find out the story down the line every time. From Darren Waller to Hunter Renfrow, it always comes back to me and I get the real story. And I don't know the real story on Amari Cooper. Right? Did they not like him? Did he not like the team? It didn't work. He quit. He quit as soon as he came here. And all right, Tyler Lockett's not a quitter. He knows Pete well. If he makes one catch against Jacksonville on 3rd and 13 and the Raiders win on a walk-off field goal, that could get the Raiders going into Denver and Dallas. I'm not saying save the season, but get it going again. So I understand that from a business perspective. But, Bill, I'm dealing with a lot of fans who want to see these draft picks play. And I'm like, well, you and I aren't in depth at every practice every day. Maybe they are getting their reps in practice and not playing well. We don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I think that situation with Thornton, he was given an opportunity and he hasn't produced.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so, and he has time to produce. He has a whole career to produce. But through 7 games, fourth round wide receiver hasn't produced. I don't think that's shocking. I think maybe he was given those opportunities a little too prematurely, but that's another story. So yeah, you're right. It's all week to week. If the Raiders season ends and Tyler Lockett is the key of a great turnaround, we'll see. I mean, I don't think it's a dumb idea, but it's just see what, like he said, just try to get a win.
Finally, Bill, where do you stand on John Spytek, who we don't know a lot about, and the connection to Brady? And I think Spytek comes from a great background in Tampa Bay. Man, I'm pulling for him to be just fantastic, but I don't know if he wants to pull the trigger on a trade with Jackson Powers Johnson, bring in an offensive lineman, move Jacoby Myers. What's on your radar, which would be a significant trade, or let the trade deadline go and play with the players you got? This trade deadline's clearly got my attention.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting week, and I don't know if the Jacksonville a win or loss really moves the needle on the trade market either way. I mean, hey, if you win, you're 3-5. Now they going really. Everybody's just clicking every facet. It's the Raiders that we expected to see. And they just blow out Jacksonville. Maybe you're right. All right, let's give it a shot. But if they win this game, they could still be stellar. I guess that's my point. I think it would be a mistake if they don't trade Jacoby Myers. That's my biggest takeaway. I mean, look what do you hold him on for? He basically said last week he's not really interested in re-signing. Maybe that changes, but it doesn't really seem like they're interested in re-signing him either, or they would have done it. So he's probably 4 months away from walking out.
Yeah, and let me follow up on that. That's a fair point. But say the market for him was a 4th-round pick, then a 5th-round pick, and then it went to a 6th-round pick. Is it worth doing that? Or do you just are you claiming or saying, not claiming, saying that just get something for Jacoby Myers because he's probably going to walk?
I mean, if it's a 6th-round pick, maybe you consider it, maybe not doing it. But if you see the projections that if he leaves in free agency, they'll get a 2027 4th-round comp pick. But those comp picks are complicated, and it depends on who you bring in. So it's all a formula. So yeah, would you rather get a 5th-round pick in 2026 than maybe a 4th-round pick in 27? For a team that's building and needs to do some things in the draft next year, maybe so. I know there was a report, I believe it was ESPN yesterday, said that they're holding out for a day 2, so that would be a 3rd-round pick. That might be tough to get. If you get it, you get it, but that might be asking for a lot. So, a lot of these trades end up being conditional anyway. So if the new team gets him and they say he gets to a certain amount of catches the rest of this season and it turns into a 4, and if not, it's a 5th, I think you consider it, especially if you go out and think again and you're 2-6. I mean, then you start get those young guys more playing time and just move on from Myers. So I think Myers being traded could happen within the next week. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and that's why we have you on. You got great opinions. Talk to you soon, Bill. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, take care. Thanks.
That conversation brought to you by Remy Martin, VSOP. Have it neat, have it on the rocks, frozen, in a cocktail. I'm telling you, if you change up with Remy Martin, VSOP, I promise you'll add it into your cocktail. It will change your life. They're proud partners of the show. And I was looking at their collection, all of their cognacs, everything they have at their website. It's incredible to me. Remy Martin, the classic, the icon, everything they have is tremendous. You have to look at all of it. I've been drinking the Tercet for years. Remy Martin, proud partner of our show. Whenever we have a deep dive like that, it's brought to you by Remy Martin. And Remy Martin's been unbelievably generous to us. They just dropped off a bunch of basketballs. These are cool. You're going to see them at Remote on Friday at La Casa. Remy Martin dropped off some towels and some basketballs, and we're going to give them away. And they're nice. Believe me, if you have a bar in your house or you have a setup, you're going to want this in your bar. Thanks to Tori. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes that works with us, Steve and the whole entire team. Remy Martin's part of my family. They've been with us a very long time. They're proud partner of Raider Nation Radio. And whenever I walk into a lounge or a bar, I look for Remy Martin, especially when you go to some of the finest establishments in town. Remy Martin, proud partner of our show. Chris Myers from the NFL on Fox will join us next. And I'd like to take a couple of phone calls, either on George Atkinson, the legacy of Carroll Davis, or what's going to happen against Jacksonville. 702-365-9200. 702-365-9200. Raider Nation, you need to wake up, because I stayed up all night watching the Dodger game, interviewed Pete Carroll, and my energy's out of 10. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Please remember, if you're in Vegas, La Casa on Friday. Thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you very much. You know that. Bricklayers Unite.